Land ownership in the Philippines under American. Act No. 496 or the Land Registration Act introduced the torrent system to address the absence of earlier records of issue land titles and conduct land survey. Land ownership did not improve during the American period. In fact, it even worsened because there was no limit to the size of landholdings people could possess and the accessibility of possession was limited to those who could afford to buy, register, and acquire fixed properties title. Not all of your land acquired by the Americans were given to landless peasants farmers. Some lands were sold leads to American and Filipino business interests. This early land reform program was also implemented without support mechanism if a landless peasant farmer received land he only in 1903, the Homestead Program was introduced, allowing a tenant to enter into an agricultural business by acquiring farm of at least 16 hectares. This program, however, was limited to areas in northern Luzon and Mindanao, where colonial penetration had been difficult for Americans, a problem they inherited from Spaniards or received land nothing. More, many were forced to return to tendency and wealthy Filipino hacienderos forcefully took over lands from farmers who could not afford to pay their debt. The system, introduced by Americans, enabled more lands to be placed under tendency, which led to widespread peasant uprisings such as the Colorium and Sakdal uprising in Luzon. Peasant and workers found refuge from millenarian movements that gave them hope that change could still happen through military post-war interventions toward agrarian reform. Restoration and innovation after the war were aggroes on providing solutions to the problem of the previous and administration of President Rojas Han Republic Act No. 34 to establish a 7 to 30 allocation arrangement between tenant and landowner, correspondingly which reduced the interest of landowners mortgage to tenant at 6% of less. The government tried to relocate hacienda lands deteriorating free to despair of similar action since no provision was given to small agrarian who were given lands. The Land Settlement Development Corporation (LESDECO), under the period of President Elpidio Guerrero, was established to accelerate and expand the resettlement program for farmers. This agency later on became the National Resettlement and Rehabilitation Administration (NARRA), under the government of President Ramon Magsaysay, saw the significance of pursuing genuine land reform program and pursued the Congress, majority of which were elite owners, to pass legislation to develop and land reform situation. Declaration of Policy under RA No. 3844 Original Land Reform Code. Source Section 2 Declaration of Policy of the State. Number 1. To establish owner cultivatorship and the economic family-size farm as the basis of Philippines agriculture and as a consequence deter landlord capital in agriculture to industrial development. Number 2. to achieve dignified existence for the small farmers free from pernicious institutional restraints and practices. Number 3, to create a truly valuable social and economic structure in agriculture, conducive to greater productivity and higher farm income. Number 4, to apply labor laws equally and without discrimination to both industrial and agricultural wage earners. Number 5, to provide a more vigorous and systematic land resettlement program and public distribution aid. Number 6, to make the small farmers more independent, self-reliant, and responsible citizens and the source of genuine strength in our democratic society. Agrarian reform efforts under Marcos. President Marcos declared martial law in 1972, enabling him to essentially wipe out the landlord dominate Congress through his technocrat. He was able to expand executive powers, start a fundamental restructuring of government, including its efforts in solving in the deep structural problem of the countryside. Presidential Decree Number 27 or the Code of Agrarian Reform of the Philippines became Code of Agrarian Reform during Marcos' regime.